My name is Lauren Schaefer. I'm a sophomore biology major from Portage, Pennsylvania. So the work I did over the summer was Firefly Immunity Project. So we went out for collections of fireflies twice a week, and we caught as many female fireflies as we could, as many males as we could, and the next day we would do injections of them, infect the fireflies with various bacteria, and then we tracked their survival for the remaining of the summer. So a male firefly has 2 lanterns, but a female has 1 lantern, and they have like a little different morphology too. So the males always fly, and the females are found on the ground. They do like a flash pattern behavior, and that's how you can tell, because the males will flash at the females and the females will respond, and that's how they connect by their mating signals. We wanted to answer how fireflies fight bacterial infections, and if certain species could fight a bacterial infection better than another, and then compared to male or female fireflies. We also did a high concentration and a low concentration to obviously see if the higher concentration had a higher impact on the fireflies. The most interesting thing was I didn't really know that much about fireflies. You kind of just see them and you're like, oh, they're just glowing, they're cute. But when you finally get to learn about their mating behaviors and their mating flash patterns, that was the coolest part for me. We definitely had some struggles in the beginning because firefly season is towards like the mid to end of the summer. So in the beginning, we really had 1 or 2 fireflies at a time, which is surprising. You wouldn't think that, but we eventually got a lot of fireflies. During the summer, my research was very meaningful and fun because of the people that were here. It was really fun. We always had events organized for just spending time with the people around us. And I lived with some new people that I usually wouldn't live with before in a senior apartment, and that was super nice.
When you think about this idea of how hats are made, we have this sort of like trope of the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, which comes from reality, right? So hatters, milliners who make hats, they use mercury to tan hides, and they would slowly go crazy from mercury poisoning. So we shift away from that to different materials so you get the same effect, but without the damage of the actual original intent. My name is Carly Holsworth. I am an assistant professor of costume design and history at Bucknell University. Hats are a really interesting thing depending on what medium you're using. Hats are a part of the beginning conversations with costume design. So particularly when you're thinking about periods that require hats as part of the etiquette or fashion. So we think of like the classic movie Titanic, right? So like the early 20th century, those big, what's referred to as picture hats that women wore, was beyond just like a fashion statement. It was like a part of the culture. So needing to really understand that and fold it in from the beginning. You can't design a costume for that time period without referencing or integrating a hat. But we have this big influx of this idea of feathers, or what's referred to as plumage, on hats. It became a big style thing for women. And what it does is actually just like ravages the bird population. Those birds almost became extinct, and some actually did. So there's like an interesting moment towards right after 1912 when Titanic is, to Boston socialite women that partook in this particular trend, but then were contacted by a zoologist about like what damage is being done. And so they helped kind of change the fashion trend to be like very passé to use feathers. So that's something that was very important, because what you see is like a very distinct and very quick shift in a fashion trend that if you just looked at without the context of what else is going on, you could be like, oh, that's very fast, something that feels almost like micro trend with modern fashion. But really it's this sort of slow grow to a mass of something that happens quickly, and then a big tip because it needed to happen because of the population. I think that in order for like hats to kind of come back, so to speak, into US context fashion, they would have to be doing something. Like there's this real kind of like working class like must function as a X, Y, and Z, not just be pretty, that we have in this country. So I'm sure that there will be something, right? And people could argue that, those baseball caps that have the bottle openers in them, but maybe not that type of function. But it does need to have something that feels like it can at least like live in multiple spaces instead of just one societal event that rings a certain air. But maybe, we'll see.
Is anyone coming? Alright, let's get this thing kick-started.
It's already rolling.
Hiya, I'm Kayla McDevitt, and welcome to episode 1, season 1 of the Bucknellian, where I, Kayla McDevitt, interview my fellow Bucknellians and the cool or special talents they may have. With me, I have Avery Ebby.
It's Evie?
What?
Evie.
Ebby. So, Avery, when did you start karate?
Probably in 5th grade.
Guess you couldn't kick the habit. Who would win in a fight, Nelson Mandela or Gandhi? Really think about it. Think.
I'd say Mandela.
I'm just more of a Gandhi fan. The whole Salt March was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, he was more of a non-violence person, though. Would he fight?
Let's follow up that question.
Okay.
Who's your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle? Mine's Michelangelo. Before you answer,
I actually never watched it.
You don't know Michelangelo with the skateboard, orange. I heard you have a specialty in karate.
Yeah.
What is it?
I do fan.
What is?
Like a open.
That was pretty good. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Just do a kick now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
So it's just. That was really it. I'll sit down.
Last question. You're in Australia. Do you think you could beat up a kangaroo?
So probably not. They're like really big animals.
No, you couldn't.
No, I'm gonna say no to that.
I wasn't. We get the next person in here. Actually, I don't think. Do you? Yeah. Could you leave?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Got you.
Yeah. Don't forget your water.
Right.
Yeah. Hydration's important.
No. Yeah.
For black belts. Not that you are one, but.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Frickin' Fly, and today I'm going to be challenging FaZe Blaziken. If you guys follow Blaziken, you know that he can solve a Rubik's Cube.
I'm Aiden Flynn, and I can solve a Rubik's Cube in 20 seconds. Yeah, so during the Rubik's Cube Nationals in 2015, I had a lot of emotions going through my head. I was pretty young at the time, I think going into 7th grade. So when I first got there, I was initially anxious seeing everyone, thousands of people with the same passion as me, who were a lot better than me, but after some time, I eased into it and found my group of guys, and I had a friend that was there, so we started hanging out. But yeah, this was a lot of fun to do. So this initially began in middle school when I went to Liberty Science Center in New Jersey. There was an exhibit there that my class and I visited, and I remember buying a cube there, taking it home, and I was so frustrated. It took me 2 or 3 days to finally get it. It was really hard at first, but once I finally got it, it was a huge accomplishment for me. After some time, my other friends and I started to all pick it up. I definitely have an extra attention when I'm solving the cube. I think it always has been a way that I can just kind of like escape from everything around me and just really focus on one thing. And it's fun. It's I guess you could say a little bit of a blackout, as it's the only thing I'm focusing on and escape from reality, but also attention to detail is very important.
American Pie is a song by Don McLean, who is a folk artist writing in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Every single lyric in American Pie is a metaphor for a different historical event that takes place from 1957 to 1968. And so it's all about, the song is actually about the relationship between music and activism in this really tumultuous time, post-civil rights, Vietnam era kind of time in American history. When they say the day the music died, that is the headline for a particular news story, and that's the news story about a plane that was carrying a bunch of very young musicians, crashes, and all three of those musicians died. Particularly Buddy Holly, who is this young guy from Texas, who you can think of him as he's contemporary to Elvis, and he probably would have become as famous as Elvis. He was doing a very similar type of thing. Throughout the song, there are lyrics that mention other musicians, and those musicians are mentioned in relatively chronological order, and the songs get weirder and weirder. The three men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, they took the last train off the coast. Those three men are JFK and Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King, who are all assassinated within 3 years of each other. The Jester sang for the King and Queen. The Jester is Bob Dylan. Everyone is knows that the Jester is Bob Dylan. And there are a couple reasons that we know this. One is that when he's singing for the King and Queen, the King of Rock and Roll is Elvis, yes. So he's singing for Elvis. There's a documented, one of his first performances is for Elvis. The Queen people think is Little Richard, which I think is very funny and good. I Met a Girl Who Sang the Blues. That's Janis Joplin, who overdoses the year after this song comes out. It's a bummer. The song is a bummer, and I think that's one of the reasons that I also love it, is that I love a song, for very different reasons. I love the song YMCA, right? Because straight people play it at their weddings and they don't know, but it's about going to a YMCA to have sex with other men. A real dad rock song.